Hello everyone, welcome to the Engineering Projects YouTube channel. In the previous video tutorial, we have developed the client-side editing and updating part or code. Like, click on this to make it edit. Like, click this, it is enabled to edit, change the data like this, and click on save, and it will get saved on the front end or client side. Now in this video tutorial we will create the backend side or the SQL part. So here we have the not to create a new store procedure. Instead we have to update our current store procedure and scale that for updating the record of menu. Click on modify, and here we will use if statement, applicate here, and now what we will say, update this table and set the attribute location or whatever the attribute within this. So execute this to get to know how many attributes are there. So we need to update location. So I will say set location is equal to at this variable where id, so take an variable here for the id, its type of int. Okay, so is equal at id. So now it will update the record and replace the value of location where the specific id match like this, and click execute. So this store procedure gets saved, and now we have to use default controller, and we have to create a controller for the edit part. So what we will do, we will stop this execution and create action listener for save, public save. So it have two things, or we can even use this list. So simple use this here and name it as save. Okay, now what we will do here, we need some parameters, okay, to perform any action. Now bind a model with this save attribute, but how? Simply is that we will say that we have a model of menu location model like this, and what happened, let's say it's model bind. Okay, so now what happened, when I will send the request, I will send the location and the id both, and for that I have to utilize something. Now in the store procedure, here we have menu location, update is the filter, cannot, okay, it's now updated. So here we have the filter. Now what more we need to add, we need to add an other parameter name as only the id, and from where it comes from this model bind. Okay, simple is this. Now we don't need to read the data. Okay, we just need to insert the data. In the previous video tutorial, here I have the example how we can insert the data. I will simply use this. Right after this, we just execute the command return and it will update the data. We don't need to read the data again and again. And then we will return this like a message simply which is done. So this message returned to the client side. Here is this, and now what we need to do more, we need to get a data here like this dot id, and we also need to add another parameter which is the location. So here is the location, add that here. Okay, so it's fine. Now we are sending three things: the filter, location and id, which the location and id comes from the model which is bind, and it is the static one which we have hard coded. Now simply what we need to do, we go to the menu where is the save button appears like this, and when click on save, something happens. So in this we just need to find the save button. Okay, so here is the save button appears. We just need to call the Ajax which trigger our save button, save action listener. And for that, what we need to do, we will create an object here in the save. Right after this, for example, I will take var and menu object is equal like this. In this object, I will pass the attribute such as id, comma, some id, colon, semicolon, and then location, semicolon, some location. Okay, actually what's happened, when we click on save, a text gather from here and replace here. So let's copy this text and pass it as the location. And what I need more, I need the ID. So how I will get the ID? I need to place an ID over here. But how? I will use a little bit Ajax, jQuery. What it will say, for example, I have clicked this, it's change into the save, and it have its own class. Here is the class. I will say go to console and check who is the parent of this node dot parent. So here we have table data. Now again parent, so it is the table row. Okay, so we have whole row appear here. Now what we need td, the first td. So we will say children dot eq return the 0 index value. So it's return me this td. Okay, now I will say what's inside there as the text. It's return me 1. So I need this is the primary key which I need. Okay, so now I will create another var and name it as id is equal something, and pass this instead of the class name. So each time you will click, you will get the current instance and this ID will placed here. Right now, this is the object. Let's replicate this Ajax. So from where it started, so here is the Ajax call. After creating the object, replicate the call and copy the name of the click listener, the listener, Ajax listener, whatever. And now what you need to do, you are passing the URL and then you are passing the data. Okay, so remove this part. Okay, don't remove, just remove this one, you don't need this. Simply console the result which comes from here. Now here after the here we will use post method and also use a data attribute, data semicolon, and use json.stringify. Here we will pass our menu object, use comma. Now this data is sent to the server and the response appear here. We also use the error part. Now here we can handle the error by simply console this. In the case of error, the error message will be get consoled. Okay, now what we need to do more, we simply need to execute this on our browser so that we can verify it is really working or not, and also execute the whole data from DB. So here we have 1 as top, 2 top R, 3 R1 and 4 R2. Let's, when it's get executed, we will update the values and verify that it is updated in the database or not. It is updated on the client side, but we need to verify that either the changes get saved on the backend or not. So when we will refresh the page, we will get the real-time data instead of the previous one. Okay, so it is now executing. Refresh this application. Okay, so now it's get executed. Now move on to this, click here on edit and say that updating ID1 and click on save. The message appear here as done. Here is the top value, execute again. Okay, it's not executed. So now what we need to do, we need to use a check here that it is working or not. This thing is called debugging. Okay, now when I will again click on this pass value and click save, here it's get the response, and now from here I can debug that either it is working or not. When I will hover this, it's let me know ID is null, links is null, and location is null. So it's mean it is not working, and that's why location is null here and null and so on. So now we have to verify that why it's not working. Maybe because we are not using other attributes by which it's not understanding what's happening. So right after the post, use content type semicolon, then application JSON char set is equal f dash 8 comma, and also use the type of data, so it's data type semicolon JSON. So that's JSON. Let's see, use the debugger again, refresh the application, and then apply the same methodology by clicking on this, editing the value, and click save. Like this, I have click save. Now let's see what we are getting. Okay, so now we are getting each and everything. Okay, so click continue. Now update, and you will see that the value of top one is get updated. Okay, do it once more now without debugger. So simply I will say subscribe, save, TEP, save, YouTube, save, channel, save. Now execute here and see subscribe the Engineering Projects YouTube channel. I hope this video tutorial is informative for you. If you have any kind of question regarding this, you can ask us, and don't forget to subscribe our channel for getting more amazing video tutorial regarding web development. Take care, bye bye, have fun.